didn't work. I either feel, oh, I'm stupid, I'm worthless, I'm horrible, or I feel it's your fault. I did everything right, but this guy came in and ruined my project. So I have all of this level of ignorance and suffering. So we talk about realizing I'm not the doer. That what I am is just a tool in God's hands. But as the questioner says, if I'm not the doer, then it means that I can't claim success or failure or blame. Well, that's true as far as the specific action goes. So I plant a seed. The seed sprouts into a beautiful tree. I cannot claim, because of me. I have no idea how to make a seed sprout. None of us does. Even the most brilliant gardener in the world. If that seed didn't have within it the intelligence to know how to sprout, if that seed didn't have within it the Shakti, the divine energy, to sprout, there is nothing we can do. You can plant it in the best soil, you can water it with the most beautiful water, shine the best sun on it. But none of us has the capacity to take a seed and actually, open it up and pull some sprouts out of it and keep stretching them until it becomes a tree, right? We'd kill it in a second. You'd render the seed utterly useless. So if it sprouts, cannot claim, I did it. Similarly, if I plant it in the right soil, I shine the right sun, I give it the right amount of water, but it doesn't sprout, again, not my failure. My favorite personal story about that is the story of when I moved from Palo Alto, where we had a beautiful backyard, and I had a nice backyard with different herbs growing, into San Francisco, where instead of a backyard, I had a windowsill garden. So you just had holes in your windowsill that you could put pots in. And I love to cook. Since I became a very staunch vegetarian at 15, I learned how to cook. And I loved growing basil and other sorts of herbs and things. And in Palo Alto, they sprouted, they grew, they were beautiful. Moved to San Francisco, and suddenly I cannot get my seeds to sprout. And I'm buying expensive, organic, good quality seeds, not sprouting, not sprouting, not sprouting. I'm trying over and over again. Weeks and weeks go by. And I start to really feel badly. Because, sometimes in life, especially when you're starting something new in a big way, the little things, you take them very personally. And so I had just embarked on a brand new phase of life, and here I couldn't even get my windowsill garden to sprout. Like I couldn't even get a few leaves of basil to grow. One day, I come home early from school. I was in a PhD program, and I come home early from school. Usually I got home only in the evenings. This day I got home early. And I saw that the cat we had adopted when we moved from Palo Alto to the city was in the pot of plants outside on the windowsill, in the pot, going like this with the dirt, throwing the dirt all over the side of the pot and all onto the ground. And suddenly I realized, of course, why my seeds weren't sprouting. because my seeds were all over the ground. And what was left in the pot was only dirt. But of course, by the time I was coming in every evening, the cat was back inside, and it was just this mysterious plant that refused to sprout. And I love that story because for me, it symbolizes two pieces. Number one, how little is in our hands. You do the best you can. But there's so much in life that we don't have any control over. But it also symbolizes the ego and how easy it is to feel like a failure. I mean, I was really starting to take it personally on the third or fourth round of brand new seeds that I was planting. You really start to doubt yourself. Am I that incompetent that I can't even grow some herbs outside in a pot? What's wrong with me? So when we realize that we're not the doer, it means it's my responsibility to plant my seeds, literal and metaphoric, to plant them in the right place, to plant them in the best soil that I can, to water them with the purest and best water, to make sure they've got the right amount of sun. That's what sincerity is called. And whether I'm actually growing herbs for my kitchen, or I'm running a company, or I'm running a country, or I'm going door to door raising money for a charity, or I'm doing anything in between, whatever I'm doing, I have to do it with sincerity. But I'm not the one who actually makes it sprout or not sprout, flower or not flower, succeed or fail. And when we take the question to a deeper level, though, as the questioner said, if I'm not the doer, I can't claim success or failure or blame. True, with regard to actual literal things. I may have prepared a fantastic project proposal, the best ever, perfect. But for whatever reason, my boss was in a bad mood, wanted to do something different, had it in for me, had it in for my assistant who brought it to her, had it in for whatever the proposal was about, had it in for proposals in general that day, whatever it was. Out of my control. But that's not the highest level of my doing. That's the level over which I have no control, because that is based on external factors. I have zero control of how the world, other people, the weather, the universe is going to respond to what I do. The doership that I absolutely must claim, success, failure, blame, not in a self-judgmental way, but just in a let's be honest way, is on my spiritual path. Am I stepping up to the plate of my life? Am I being the truest, realest, clearest me? Or am I putting on a show? Who is running my life? My highest truth? Love? Oneness? Humility? My consciousness? That peace in me that wells up and connects with children, with animals on the road, with homeless people on the road, with the waves of the ocean, the part of me that looks up at the stars in the sky and realizes not only how tiny I am, but how everything I am, that has that simultaneous experience of, oh my God, I'm nothing, and oh my God, I'm everything. What part of me am I living from? That's the part I am the only one who has control over it. Nobody is going to come into my life and force me to close my eyes and turn inward and act from and live from and speak from and choose from a place of love. In almost every minute of our lives, we have a choice. And we have a choice to choose love, to choose peace, or to choose separation. Think about it as you walk down the street, as you have every interaction with every person in the world, in the workplace, in the home, in the grocery store, in traffic, in your own mind, because we have a lot of conversations with a lot of people in our own mind. The vast majority of them never happen on this plane of existence. Some of them we rehash that which happened and we sort of rewrite them in a if I thought of then what I'm thinking of now way. But the vast majority of conversations we have in our mind never actually take place. But in all of those interactions, am I choosing love? Am I choosing love in my words? Am I choosing them in my actions? Because my interactions are not just one-on-one with a person. I interact with the world when I buy shampoo. Am I buying the one just because I saw a commercial with a woman who looks like I'd like to look like, or a man who looks like I'd like to look, or the commercial that made me feel like, yeah, that's what I want? And it doesn't matter that they take their shampoo and smear it into the eyes of bunny rabbits to test it, or that it's made with all sorts of horrible chemicals, or that the factory that makes it is leaching its waste into the soil and into the water, or that it's exploiting women and children in sweatshops, or cutting down trees of the Amazon, or whatever the vast, overwhelming majority of our inexpensive cosmetic companies are doing. Because that's an interaction with the universe. It's not just the words that come out of my mouth. It's much more subtle than that. How do I spend my money? If I'm one of those who's fortunate enough to have even 1 rupee of disposable income, 1 rupee that I get to choose what do I do with it, after my family has been fed, after the roof is no longer leaking, after there are sweaters for the winter and shoes on our feet, and after my children have gotten into school. If I'm one of the lucky ones who after that has even 1 rupee to choose what to do with, what am I choosing? That's an interaction with the universe. And in all of those interactions, we are the only ones who decide what we're going to do. And for those, we absolutely are responsible for the success or the failure. But not the external success. It's the internal success. How many times today did I choose love over lack of love? How many times today did I walk by someone I could have helped and not help them? How many times today could I have connected with someone in love and oneness and compassion. And I didn't. Whether I simply was indifferent and walked away, or whether I chose anger or jealousy or competition or negativity or judgment. How many times did I choose peace? When things happened. Somebody said something I didn't like. Somebody did something I didn't like. How many times did I make a choice to choose peace in that moment? And how many times did I react from a place of ego? Those are our successes and failures. And those are the ones, again, it's not about judgment, because then judgment you've got to chalk up in the failure compartment. So it's not about judging the self. It's simply about awareness and witnessing. And Pujya Swamiji gives a very beautiful way of dealing with this. He says at the end of every day, we take a few moments of introspection and we see what were our plus points and our minus points. How many times today did I act in love, in peace, whatever to me considers a plus point? How many times did I move through the world as the truest version of myself? Open, honest, real, vulnerable. And how many times did I put on a show? Lying with my words, with my expressions, with my actions, perpetuating myths. And we create this balance sheet. And then we hand it to God. And we say to God, for all of the times we chose right, we thank God for giving us the strength to have made the right choice. For the times when we didn't choose right, we pray that tomorrow, with another day, may we be given the strength to choose better. And it's a beautiful way to realize with awareness, but without judging, without condemning, and then to start again the next day. And the beautiful aspect of this is when we choose love, when we choose peace, when we choose truth, it's not just that at the end of the day we get to chalk more up on the positive side of the line. It's that actually the day itself feels better. The day itself moves a lot more beautifully. If you talk to people who lie, they'll say they do it because it's easier. But the truth is it isn't easy. It's easy only if you've made it a habit. But actually, every time we don't respond with love, that we don't respond with truth or peace, it makes our life much more difficult. And so we make that choice. And that is the thing that we are responsible for. It's the only thing we're responsible for. And so it's the only thing that we get to say at the end of the day. This is a success. This is a failure. No problem. And tomorrow is another day. But that's our singular duty for which we actually are responsible. The other seeds, the universe will take care of them. It knows how to sprout them. We just have to plant them properly. Before I take another question that's come in advance, I'm happy to open it up to any questions that anyone here may have.
May I?
Yes, of course.
In fact, maybe it's an offshoot of your previous question's response. It's troubling me.
Good things to get rid of.
acquire those peace, love,
Yes.
purity, knowledge, power, those things. But every day, it's for quite some time, it's not happening. Happening maybe, I realize that, okay, I'm getting angry. Or I'm getting, those kind of bad things, the devils which are entering in myself. But maybe the improvement could be little, maybe very, very minor delta, not that much.
So what's holding you back?
Sorry?
What's holding you back?
Nothing is holding me back, but things are not happening.
Well, okay. So he said, every day in my morning meditation, I pray to overcome certain things, my ego, my greed, desires, all of the things that we know we should be free of. And I pray to acquire love and peace and purity. But it's not happening at the rate that I'd like it to. So, first of all, that which you're looking to acquire is actually the truth of who you are. So it's not about acquiring it from outside. That is the truth of who you are. When we chant Purnamada, Purnamidam, Purnat, Purnamudachyate, Purnasya, Purnamadaya, Purnameva Vashishyate, right? You are Purn. We are Purn. It means infinite, full, whole, complete, divine. It's a beautiful mantra that reminds us that the capital T, the supreme that, is infinite. And we who have been created out of that, therefore, are full and whole and complete and infinite. So you've been created out of that. All of those qualities of the divine are who you are. The problem is we have all of the other stuff. Now, as he says, it's not going. And I say, what is it that's holding you back? If it is still there, who's holding it there? That's a question. Yeah, this is good. So the dilemma is, I'm using my ego to try to get rid of my ego. Anybody here ever try to kill a mosquito? Easy or hard? Really? You must have some different species of mosquitoes if it's easy. Usually it's not very easy at all. Even the tiniest little insect. They fly around and you think, where did it go? Where did it go? Oh my God, I just saw it. One little mosquito, it'll ruin your night. You cannot find it. You can hear it. Turn on the light. Where did it go? Where did it go? Because it doesn't want to die. A tiny little mosquito. But that instinct of self-preservation is very strong. Now you think of your ego, that you've been cultivating for, how old are you?
64.
All right, so you've been cultivating this ego for more than 60 years. The mosquito has lived maybe 6 hours, and it already is so attached to its life. And you've got an ego that's for 60 years been running the show. It's not going to give up so easily. So this becomes the dilemma. Now, what if instead of trying to get rid of your ego, you realize, Cello, for 60 years, it's been my bedmate, my chairmate, my table mate, wherever I am, the ego's gone with me. For not 64 years, but we'll call it 61 or 2 years since the ego really developed. I've lived with this. All right, Cello. We seem to be hooked together. Okay. What if I simply stopped letting it run the show? What if I simply took the steering wheel of my life out of its hands? Because see, here's the dilemma. Getting absolutely rid of the ego is very, very difficult. I would say it's impossible, except it has been done. But it's been done only by the most extraordinary, enlightened saints and beings who are just transparent in their nature. The truly rare beings of light. But there's another option. Your choice is not either I have to become absolutely, fully enlightened, or I have to be stuck with this ego. There's another option. The option is, as I get closer and closer to light, I realize, okay, so there is this thing called ego, and it's kind of grown up with me, and it's created out of the experiences that have happened to me, and the things that I've learned, and the things people have said to me, and all of that. But where did it get off thinking that it was in charge? How did that happen? Because of course, you've got a lot of other parts of you that are much better suited to have the reins of this chariot in their hands. You've got an intellect. I mean, even if we don't talk soul, spirit, consciousness, even if we talk aspects of this being, you have an intellect. You have an intuition. You have a loving heart. You have compassion. You have all of the intelligence. Slightly different than intellect. But you have all of these other aspects of you. Why don't any of them get to run the show? Why does the ego, just because it exists, get to run the show? And it's an extraordinary question. And the minute that you realize that actually we have an option to say, okay, I see you. I realize you've been here a long time. I realize that when I say in my morning meditation, today I'm going to get rid of my ego, I realize that you're there listening. Where would you be, right? I mean, I can't lock you in the bathroom while I do my morning meditation. If I'm sitting here, you're sitting here with me. So you can hear me say, I'm going to get rid of my ego today. And like the mosquito, you start plotting everything you're going to do to prevent me from annihilating you today. But if instead of that, we simply made a conscious choice that, yeah, I see you, I hear you, you are permitted to exist because my experience of self is able to be expansive enough that there is also room for the existence of an ego. I don't have to annihilate you. I just have to get you out of the driver's seat. I have to take the reins of my life out of your hands. And to decide, all right, from now on, my intuitive heart, my wisdom, my compassion, these are the places I'm going to go to give the reins for my life chariot. And so when I have to make a decision, even something as simple as the words that are going to come out of my mouth, I'm going to develop a practice of mindfulness that requires me to slow down in my life. It's a beautiful practice. It's a practice of mindfulness that whatever I'm doing, whatever I'm going to say, whatever I'm going to eat, whatever I'm going to do, as I move through the world, to ask myself, who's got the reins here? Who's got the reins? And you'll know if it's the ego. Now, the ego's very smart. It's going to say, oh, this is your loving heart. But you're going to know it's not. Because the ego has a very different way of presenting itself. Jealousy, competition, grudges, anger. They have a very different felt sense than love does. And here's a quick and good and easy way to know. Ego contracts. When you are moving through the world from a place of ego, from a place of separateness, from a place of ignorance, there's an experience of contraction inside in my heart, and my vision becomes tunnel visioned. When you find yourself thinking, that guy, that lady, if they don't change, if all of your mental attention is on this person, this thing, you're coming at it from the ego. If it feels like suddenly you've started to look at the world through the tube that your toilet paper comes in, you know, you get that very narrow vision, it's ego. When we move through the world from our hearts, from compassion, from oneness, from truth, there's an experience of expansion. There's an experience of softness. And our vision expands. And you can literally feel it in your being. And so rather than making a decision every day, okay, today I'm going to annihilate these 5 people I've been living with for 60 years. Instead of that, focus on, okay, today, love, you've got the reins. And literally, as you move through the world, step by step, what does it feel like to walk from your meditation cushion into your kitchen in love? What does it feel like to eat breakfast in love? What does it feel like to walk out of the house and sit in the car and go to the office from a place of love? And you'll notice it every minute and every moment. How you interact with the people, how you think about the traffic, what news you're reading or things you're reading on your device. It impacts everything. And slowly, what'll happen is those parts of you that you think you're looking for from outside, but that actually are you. It's just that nobody pays attention to them. It's like, sadly, one of the worst tragedies in our classrooms, anybody who's ever been a teacher knows, is that the children who are the troublemakers are the ones who get all the attention. You have a class full of 40 kids. The best behaved are the ones who nobody pays any attention to. The troublemakers are the ones who the teacher talks to all the time. They're the ones who get held back after class. 90+% of the teacher's attention is with the troublemakers. And the same thing is true in our lives. That which we want to be rid of, ironically, is that which we spend 98% of our time anchored into, moving from, thinking about. Which makes us think, I've got to get that other stuff from outside, as though we forgot these kids are also in our classroom, we're just ignoring them. That love, that truth, that is in you. But you've relegated it to the back seat of a bus, not just a car. So it's like 15 rows back. And this is the time now that you walk to the back of the bus and you say, okay, love, now you in the driver's seat. See what it feels like. And allow your meditation to follow you as you stand up from the cushion. In the same way that in your meditation, when your mind wanders, what do? You just bring it back, right? Mind wanders, you bring it back. It wanders, you bring it back. When your mind wanders, you don't say, oh, I guess my meditation is now over. You just bring it back. So in the same way as you move through the world, you do it from love every minute. And you'll lose it. You'll forget. You'll get distracted. You'll get busy. You'll react. And then you'll remember, oh, and you just bring it back. It's an open-eyed, moving through the world meditation. Then your meditation isn't only what you do on your cushion. It actually is that stays with you as you move through the world. But one last piece is, in your meditation, while your eyes are still closed, make sure that you touch that place of love within you. Make sure that whether you're using your breath, you're using a mantra, whatever you're using in your meditation, that you allow yourself to connect with that experience of love within you, so that you know what you're holding on to when you stand up. And if you can't feel love for God or love for yourself yet, don't worry. Think about someone you love. But think about someone you love as unconditionally as possible. So it shouldn't be the person who your love constantly is going up and down with. Think about the being who it's the easiest to love, for whom your love is the most unconditional. You love the essence of who they are, whatever they do or say. It doesn't matter because you just love them for love. If it takes that, just think about them and hold that experience of love and move through the world with it. It's just about strengthening the love sanskara and giving less power to the ego sanskara. That's all it is. Wonderful. Have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your evening, and we'll see you all tomorrow. And tomorrow we'll start, inshallah, as they say, we'll start again at 6:30 as usual.